welcome to another episode of Codo Cinema, the podcast show where I talk about movies. I'm your host, the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Codo, aka Codoman. First of all, before going into today's topic, Happy New Year's to everyone. We are in 2023 now. We already got through the first full week of 2023, and it's not a bad start, but I hope the rest of the year continues to go forward. And also to let you all know, this is season 5. This episode 125, is gonna be season 5, episode 1 of Codo Cinema, because Codo Cinema is in its 5th season. I can't not believe that I have gone through so many episodes. And now Codo Cinema is on its 5th season. And that is amazing. That is actually a pretty good start to a new year. And on top of that, Codo Cinema is also on Iheart right now. So yeah, so basically my podcast right now, episodes 101 through 124 are on Iheart right now, so you could definitely go check that out. I'll leave the link in the description for you. It's still going to be on Spotify and Podbean, so you can still check out Codo Cinema on Podbean, Spotify, and of course iHeart. You can also check out episodes 1 through 100 on the WEIU website under radio and through WEIU podcast labeled Codo Cinema. So just to let you all know about that. But anyway, there you have it. What a pretty good way to start off the new year. So, what topic am I going to be talking about? Well, just lately, and of course going back to a couple months ago in 2022, there's a certain DCEU actor who has been causing a lot of trouble lately. Well, basically he has, but now getting more press on what his future is looking like as of now, moving forward for the DC Extended Universe. I'm pretty sure you all know who I'm talking about. Well, it's time to go to film court. Okay, so you probably figured out who I'm referring to. Well, I am referring to the Flash himself, Ezra Miller. Yes, Ezra Miller has been popping up recently in articles, particularly the fact that, well, he has been doing numerous allegations, particularly with the whole Hawaii arrest that happened twice. The allegations that he groomed little girls, including this Dakota Iron Eyes, and of course stealing liquor from one of his neighbor's house in Vermont, and of course harassment allegations, and the fact that he thinks he is either God or Satan, although I think Ezra Miller has been more of a demon than being God or Satan. But anyway, there has been a couple of things that dropped recently about Ezra Miller, and also for the future of the DC Extended Universe. I'm gonna start off with the latter. For those of you who probably already realize, James Gunn has already signed a 10-year deal with the DCEU, and of course, getting a full reboot for DC as well. But what we also heard that DC Comics and Warner Brothers has already fired Henry Cavill for for playing Superman because somehow, for some reason, which with James Gunn now being the taking over DC for the next 10 years, they're going in a change of direction. Technically, basically a reboot. Now, and now the fact is that this also goes into another circle because Gal Gadot also got the same boot as well, because Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot won't be able to play Superman and Wonder Woman respectively. I don't know about Ben Affleck of anything. He's already got a role in the upcoming Aquaman film alongside with Amber Heard, who is another actor or actress has been getting in trouble with the law ever since the whole Johnny Depp case. But what I'm trying to say is DC and Warner Brothers has kept Ezra Miller, but they fired Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot. How does that make sense? Knowing the fact that Warner Brothers knew all these allegations that are going on with Ezra frickin' Miller. I mean, I cannot believe the decision that Warner Brothers is doing right now. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, a full reboot. I mean, I guess you can definitely say. I mean, there's a. I guess you can make the argument that, well, it is probably a good idea to do a reboot because there has been a lot of DC films, particularly in the DC Extended Universe, that haven't been doing so well in the past few years. Since, let's just say since 2016. I know 2013 was a start with Man of Steel, or the fact that Zack Snyder kickstarted the DC Extended Universe. But films like Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, and the Joss Whedon Justice League film did not do well, despite the moments that it has. And then of course, they try to turn around a bit. I mean, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Shazam, they've been pretty good films. And then of course you got Wonder Woman 1984 that didn't do as well as many people thought it would. And of course, one of the more recent DC Extended Universe films that came out just recently in 2022, Black Adam, to which Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is also getting the same boot as well. And he tried desperately to get Henry Cavill back on board for Superman just so he can get a Superman versus Black Adam film. Now that's a film idea I would love to see, but no, that's not the case because as of now, we got we're doing a full-on reboot for DC Comics and of course for Warner Brothers, and also speaking going back to the whole Zack Snyder thing for a moment. Zack Snyder did the Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I did multiple episodes on that for Codo Cinema. Now, I know I'm going off topic, but why am I saying this right now? Because what we got right now is the fact that Ezra Miller is still on board with Warner Brothers in DC, but the studio decided to fire the other actors like Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill. Also, may I go into the subject of keeping crazy people on board like Ezra Miller and Amber Heard. They kept those two on board, but yet they fired Johnny Depp because despite all the evidence to clear his name, the fact that he was innocent of basically Johnny Depp was innocent for not attacking Amber Heard, and yet Amber Heard's the main abuser. Yet, Warner Brothers kept her and Ezra Miller for future films, but they fired Johnny Depp, Henry Cavill, and Gal Gadot. That is a double standard right there, folks. I mean, I cannot believe you. You gotta be wondering what the hell was Warner Brothers thinking. I mean, let's be honest. Warner Brothers had a crappy year right out of the get-go. I guess from they struck gold at least with 2022 Batman with Robert Pattinson. I actually liked that film. I thought that film was pretty good. It made over $700 million, which is pretty good. But yet somehow changing direction, they try to do other films like Batgirl. Batgirl was originally supposed to come out in 2022. I think in December. I believe it was. I don't remember what month it was, but it was like in the. But I believe it was like sometime at the end of 2022. But I did an episode on that, and that film got canceled. Film got canceled by David Zaslav, and now it's literally canned. And it had Michael Keaton as Batman for that film, who will also be in the upcoming Flash film that is coming out this year, 2023, starring Ezra Miller. And yet, I mean, there hasn't been much about the Flash film, because as of now, Ezra Miller still remained on board, and I feel bad for this film because I want to see the Flash. The Flash looks pretty promising. Looks like a promising, good film, and you have all the other supporting cast members too. I mean, you still got Michael Keaton in that. You still got Michael Keaton in the Flash film, particularly the fact that he is going to be one of the supporting characters for the Flash film, and it will be loosely be inspired by the Flashpoint comic book storyline. And of course, you even have Michael Shannon returning as General Zod. You even got Sasha Cale as Supergirl, Ben Affleck as Batman, and basically Tamara Morrison plays Aquaman's father, is gonna be in that film. There are even rumors that Gal Gadot was originally going to be in the upcoming Flash film, but somehow her couple of her scenes were dropped. I mean, even Henry Cavill and Jason Momoa were set to make cameo appearances as Superman and Aquaman, respectively. In fact, Henry Cavill had already filmed his scene back in September of I don't remember what year it was. I'm pretty sure it was 2022. But now, even Gal Gadot had one scene as Wonder Woman, and that was actually cut. So basically, and also on top of that, Henry Cavill was paid $250,000 for his cameo in The Flash. I wonder how much money he got paid for that post credit scene for Black Adam. I mean, maybe it could be the same or different. I don't know. But literally, like, think about this for a moment. Ezra Miller, with all the stuff that Ezra Miller has done, he has literally become the reverse Miller, and not in a lightweight. Ezra Miller has literally become reversed, kind of like the Reverse Flash, but no, Ezra Miller's reverse Miller, and going on to for a few updates. Like, there were a couple headlines about Ezra Miller lately, and one of them is dating all the way back in October, where he went to court for the whole stealing liquor from his neighbor's home in Vermont. And this article is from The Guardian, and it's literally titled "Ezra Miller pleads not guilty to stealing liquor from a neighbor's home." And this was October 17th of 2022. Now, I didn't do any Ezra Miller updates for a while. I did 2 of them back then, but I was also focusing on Codo Cinema Horror Month and Codo Cinema Christmas Month, so I'm gonna try to catch up with this. But anyway, jumping into the article, and I quote, Ezra Miller has pleaded not guilty to stealing bottles of liquor from a neighbor's home after one of a string of arrests and reports of erratic behavior by the Flash actor that stretched from Hawaii to Vermont. So this is basically backtracking to when Ezra Miller was arrested in Hawaii, and of course Ezra Miller is 30 years old. I mean, dang, I thought he was younger than that. I mean, I didn't think he would be that old, but who knows? Ezra Miller, who is 30 years old, and I quote, appeared on Monday with their lawyer remotely from Burlington, Vermont, for the arraignment in Bennington on accusations of felony burglary and petit larceny, a misdemeanor. They accepted the conditions that they not have any contact with the homeowner or go to the residence. Ezra would like to acknowledge the love and support they have received from their families and friends who continue to be a vital presence in their ongoing mental health. Miller's lawyer, Lisa Shellcrott, said by email, if convicted, Miller faces a maximum of 26 years in prison. The next hearing on the matter is scheduled for 13th January. That is Friday, January 13th, and that's next week. So now you all be wondering, what's up with that? What is up with that? Well, it turns out the fact that if Ezra Miller is convicted of this, including all of his other all of his other criminal activities, with the allegations of grooming and being up in Hawaii, he's definitely going to face a maximum of 26 years in prison. And from what I read in this article, it sounded so plural. And the reason why, because Ezra Miller is non-binary and he uses they them pronouns. Dang. It sounds so plural if you think about it, because this article is from the Guardian, and Ezra Miller uses they them pronouns. It sounds so plural if you think about it. I'm just saying. Oh, and for the record, Ezra Miller was born a male, despite transitioning to being non-binary, and of course that probably explains the reason why Ezra Miller is using they them pronouns. And there's another problem, because Warner Brothers thinks Ezra Miller is more important, or should I say, Warner Brothers is brushing all this away. Warner Brothers was aware of Ezra Miller's criminal activities, but the fact is, there's the studio slapping everybody in the face, even Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot, who were let go from DC because as of now, with this reboot that James Gunn is doing, and James Gunn is already coming under fire with this, because of the whole, not only because of the Henry Cavill situation, but now it's Ezra Miller, because the studio still has Ezra Miller for the future. And of course, jumping ahead, this is another article that actually came out on December 22nd of Thursday, December 22nd, 2022, of which was last year. This is one of few articles that I found, and this is Cosmic Book News, and Matt McGloin wrote this, and I wish I was making this up. Ezra Miller and The Flash get a multi-million-dollar Super Bowl commercial. Let me read that headline again. Ezra Miller and The Flash gets a multi-million-dollar Super Bowl commercial. What in the hell is going on? Because I was looking at this article and thinking to myself, so Ezra Miller is going to get a multi-million-dollar Super Bowl commercial, but Warner Brothers push all of the other actors away, like Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, and Johnny Depp. Like Warner Brothers thinks Ezra Miller is more important than this. And before I go into this article, I believe the reason why Warner Brothers is keeping Ezra Miller on board is because Ezra Miller checks all the boxes, because Ezra Miller is playing the LGBTQ card. He's playing the card. Excuse me. They're playing the card. They're playing the card. Ezra Miller is playing the card. They're like Warner Brothers thinks that's important. That's more important than what the future holds for the other DC Extended Universe films. Now look, I do. And look, I don't have a problem with people. I don't have a problem with anybody. I don't have a problem with LGBTQ people. I really don't. I don't have a problem with people in the LGBTQ, but when you have people like Ezra Miller, who is literally doing criminal activities like grooming, throw, getting arrested in Hawaii, beating up girls, almost killing one of them with a chair, choking out a woman, stealing liquor from Vermont, and yet he had and yet Ezra's got a court case, another court case on January 13th. And now Ezra's got a Super Bowl commercial set in stone. You gotta be thinking. You gotta be this crazy, especially for a studio like Warner Brothers, who has made who have made some of the some of the most dumbest decisions that I have ever heard of. And 2022, for example, was definitely one of the worst. And right now, I'm gonna go read this article, and I quote. For the first time in 70 years, Warner Brothers will be having a Super Bowl commercial courtesy of David Zaslav and Warner Brothers Discovery. Henry Cavill is fired. Dwayne Johnson is fired. Although I haven't gone that deep into Dwayne Johnson, but I'll keep going. Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck are likely done. I mean, Ben Affleck's got The Flash and the upcoming Aquaman sequel, so I don't know about that. And I don't even know about Amber Heard. I mean, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people are saying she's still on board. Other people are saying they're not. They're keeping that under wraps, so I don't know. Anyway, and oh yeah, Batgirl is canceled. Or so is Scooby Doo and lots of animated projects and projects involving representation. You may want to check back on that, Warner Brothers. Meanwhile, for his good behavior, Ezra Miller is getting a multi-million-dollar Super Bowl commercial courtesy of Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav and the new co-heads of DCU, James Gunn and Peter Safran. And of course, The Flash is reported to be getting a Super Bowl commercial during Super Bowl 57 on Sunday, February 12th. And of course, it is said that it will play in front of Marvel's Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania Super Bowl trailer. I'm looking forward to the Ant-Man trailer more than the Flash, I will say this. And now you're probably wondering, how much does a Super Bowl trailer cost? Well, according to last year's commercials, it costs about $6.5 million for a 30-second spot. So this year's commercials are likely even more. So, well, from what I'm saying, like this commercial that Ezra Miller is doing as a Flash, it'll probably cost more than $6.5 million. Now, for those of you who probably might be saying, that doesn't sound much compared to what we heard from films. I mean, yeah, you have big film budgets that are basically between 100 million to 400 million. I mean, sure, that's a lot of money. But for a commercial like this, I mean, that's still a lot. That's kind of a lot of money. I mean, I don't really know how much commercials, how much are the commercials. I really don't really know, particularly for 30-second spots. So I'm not really sure, but from what I'm hearing, it's $6.5 million. But it could be more for this year's upcoming Super Bowl. And as reported by The Wrap, I mean, this is from Cosmic Book News I'm reading up from, and as reported by the Wrap, the Flash Super Bowl trailer marks the first time Warner Bros. Has released a trailer during the big game in 17 years, since 2006 with spots for 16 Blocks, V for Vendetta, and Poseidon. And the Flash movie has been testing positively with screen test audiences, with comparisons to Sony and Marvel's Spider-Man No Way Home, which has almost made $2 billion at the box office, and it has been said they have so much faith in the movie that a sequel has already been written. And what about Ezra Miller? I mean, yeah, Ezra Miller has been in a lot of trouble. 2022 was a terrible year for Ezra. Ezra Miller looks like crap. I mean, what Ezra Miller has done is absolutely insane, disgusting, and terrible. I mean, and And Miller was told there was the possibility the flick could get canceled and that he could get axed from the role. The actor, who identifies as non-binary and uses pronouns completely, changed they them's tune, and Miller has beginning treatment, that he had a very positive meeting with Warner Brothers brass in August regarding the future of the film, meaning it's definitely getting released, and they discussed how to promote it, hence the Super Bowl commercial. So, what it remains to be seen. I'm still reading this article. What it seems to be whether or not Ezra Miller is going to stick around for the other Flash film, maybe the one that they have already written, including James Gunn and Peter Safran, are developing a new DCU Superman. And of course, James Gunn has already shot down rumors that he's rebooting everything except his Suicide Squad cast. I mean, of course, James Gunn did the Suicide Squad film that came out in 2021. I actually liked that film. I did a film review on that already, and that was a fun film. I'm not gonna lie. Now it looks now, yeah. So basically, yeah. So basically, yeah. It is literally insane that Ezra Miller has been doing all of this crap, and my goodness, Warner Brothers is not letting Ezra Miller go because the studio thinks that Johnny Depp did all this terrible things, whatever heard. Yet he proved his innocence, but yet they kept Ezra Miller on board. Despite all of Ezra's criminal activities going on in 2022, and of course keeping Amber Heard on board for Aquaman 2 as well. So it's a double standard right there, folks. It's a literal double standard. Ezra Miller has literally been a complete reverse of himself, or themselves. I should say. I mean, my God. I mean, you have to be this crazy to keep a crazy lunatic on board this film. I mean, it's just insane. And now, I mean, Warner Bros. Is already getting heat from this from a lot of people already. I mean, the fans are calling the studio out. They're also calling out James Gunn, and because of the fact that they're defending Ezra Miller of all this crap that is going on is insane. And I cannot believe of what's been going on. So basically, Ezra Miller's got a Super Bowl commercial coming up for the Flash film, and of course, Ezra's got a January 13th court hearing coming up, and like I said, if Ezra gets convicted, he'll face a maximum sentence of 26 years in prison. And Ezra has not been fired from anything. So the question is, what now? It's not even over. The entire Ezra Miller situation is not over. I mean, I think this whole situation is gonna keep going right now, because from the rumors I heard, like Ezra Miller is gonna probably stick around for future DCEU films, unless that whole court case comes around and finds Ezra guilty of everything. Do you think Ezra Miller will be guilty or not? I don't know. I mean, it is hard to tell right now. There hasn't been much press going on about this whole court case. I mean, I know it's probably been mentioned from December of 2022, but what about going into 2023? I mean, Ezra Miller has been an insane person. I used to like Ezra Miller from when he did when he did The Flash, for a small cameo in Suicide Squad. His role in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I mean, despite the Joss Whedon version existing, the writing was terrible for that. Ezra sounded like Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I mean, he's not. I mean, DC was basically being Marvel at that point, and of course, actually, you know what? Yeah, that's just basically it. I mean, that's just basically. Oh, and a cameo in the Peacemaker season 1 finale. Although I haven't seen much of Peacemaker yet, so I'll see what happens. So I'll try to catch up with that. But man, I mean, it's just crazy to hear about to talk and hear about Ezra Miller. I mean, Ezra Miller had a terrible, terrible 2022 year. Like, it's not even funny. It's just like you hear all these criminal activities that's been going on for Ezra Miller, and Ezra Miller has not been getting the boot because Warner Bros is letting him off easy. Like, they're letting him off easy. I mean, they know he has done all this stuff, but Warner Bros. Believe that Ezra Miller checks all these boxes. That Ezra Miller's non-binary. Ezra's non-binary. He did not. Ezra did nothing. Okay, we can let him do all this criminal stuff, but we'll fire these other people. I mean, my goodness. I cannot believe what's been going on. Warner Brothers 2022 was definitely the worst year for Warner Brothers. The studio themselves has hit a new low. I will say this. Now, could the studio pull back? Or could the studio rethink the decision? I don't know, but I think it could be too little, too late for this, including for Ezra Miller. And maybe I'm pretty sure the first year for James Gunn at DC for rebooting the DCU is gonna be a rough year unless the studio changes their mind on everything that is going on. Maybe they could bring back Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot. You never know. But it could be too little, too late. But hey, sometimes a decision can be made. But as of now, Warner Brothers is literally denying. Warner Brothers is literally staying quiet on this, and they're putting their fate. They're putting their fate on Ezra Miller. And as of now, as of what's going on, Ezra Miller's got a court case on January 13th, which is next week. So I'm probably gonna have to do a follow-up episode to see what's gonna happen with Ezra Miller. So we'll see what's gonna happen. But anyway, that's it. That'll be it. And I mean, this is basically back to film courts on this. Yeah. I mean, it's been a while since I did that. But Ezra Miller, as I said, once was a good actor, has now turned into a crazy lunatic. And now it's hard to say what's gonna happen now. But it's Warner Brothers right now. They're in a bad spot. Ezra Miller's in a bad spot. So is Warner Brothers. So is James Gunn, and then the people involved at the studio right now. And I feel bad for all the cast, all the supporting cast and crew members, including the directors involved with the Flash film that is coming out. I feel bad. Now, granted, the film could be good, but I think the Flash film that is coming out, I think it's dead on arrival. But anyway, that's all I have. I mean, what do you all think of this? What do you all think of this situation that is going on with Ezra Miller and of course with Warner Brothers? What are your thoughts on what are your thoughts on this? Please let me know what's your thoughts on this whole Ezra Miller situation. And other than that, that's it for this episode. There will be more film topics to come for season 5 of Codo Cinema. So 2023 it will definitely be off to a good start for Codo Cinema. So there will definitely be more film topics to talk about. So and of course, even if it's just a film with actors, directors, top 10s, classic versus remakes, anything particularly for film. So yeah. Other than that, thank you all for tuning into Codo Cinema. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codoman. Remember to watch movies and stay positive.